Thank you so much, Dr. Oludayo, for sharing. Before we continue, I would like to say that Doctor is someone that I have personally learned from. I've been privileged to know a part of his background, talk about his leadership journey, career strength. In fact, sometimes he's very vulnerable with us to tell us some of the things he had to overcome over time. How he had to put so much energy into hard work and it has paid off over time. So you see that when he begins to tell us about his leadership journey and how he got there. But then, before that, we would like you to, we would like you, sir, to share with us. You spoke about failure. You were failing in the school. You were 17th position to the 20th position. It means that you failed, but you changed the environment and you changed the ideology. But I can recall one time in our conversation before now that you had another taste of failure. To some, it might not be failure, it might be a decision to maybe want to wait for a while for something because of what you passionately wanted. So this has to do with the period you had to wait before your university results.
Mm,
Could you just run us through the experience? What it did to you? How did you maximize that season? I think it was a major defining moment for you, and
mm.
it really changed a lot of things about you and the experiences afterwards. Could you just share a bit with us?
Yes, so thank you, Dr. Cobbs. So I graduated from secondary school in 1997. Like I said before now, prior to that, I never had any challenge with academics, with school. I just kept moving on like any other child would go through school. And in 1997, I wrote WAEC. There was no NETCO then. It was GCE. I wrote GCE. And I wrote JAMB. Then we still used to do UME versus the Polytechnic. I mean UME. I mean Polytechnic exams. Then so they were separate. So I'm not even sure if I took the Polytechnic one. I forgot what it's called now. So before it became UTME now. So so I took it, and trust me, it took a while. I kept writing JAM. First year, second year, third year, fourth year, and my fifth year. And every year I wrote it, my results kept coming lower and lower and lower. So if I had, for example, I can't remember my scores now, but if I had 250 the first time, the second one was going to be like 220,
Oh
and it
my.
was kept going down until I had the very last result. In fact, I wrote the last exam in a city I will not call. The city I thought they said when you go to an educationally disadvantaged state, I thought that when you take an exam in an educationally disadvantaged state, they will upgrade you. So I went to a state that was labeled educationally disadvantaged to take my jam exam, but my result was disadvantaged.
Oh
I
my.
was disadvantaged, so I didn't do so well. But it was in the era where private universities were still admitting people with lower than JAM central cutoff point. So at that time, I think my last JAM result was 189.
At that time, private universities were not that
Yeah, it
well.
was 2002.
Oh
So
my.
I mean, I graduated from 97. The first private university possibly came out in 1999. I think it was Grenadian or Babcock, one of the two of them. And then 2002, Covenant University came up to
That's
be.
5 years.
Yeah,
1997.
2002, yes. I
5 years.
waited. I waited, yes. I waited. So, and by 2002, I'd written the JAM the fifth time, and the results came out. I got an opportunity to be tested in Covenant ahead of their admission process. I wanted to study international relations. So, because all of my life, I'd always thought I wanted to represent people. People and representing their interests was big on me. It was something that resonated with me as a young boy. That's all I wanted to do in my life. I think that's what I'm still doing today. Maybe just in a different way. And trust me, I'd gone to school, tried to do it. I took my interviews, and my name didn't come out on the list for Covenant.
Oh,
You wonder what exactly happened. I'd insisted I wanted to study international relations, but I did not pass government at the credit level.
it was the correct
Then,
side for.
yes, then we didn't have G8. It was P. It was P, so I had a P7. I passed. It was not a failure, but they needed me to have a credit pass and not a P pass. Right. So the school was You can't take, in fact, they call it criteria. You can't study this. So somehow we got to know about it and they changed my course of study to accounting. So I got admission to account for study accounting in Covenant. In fact, in my admission letter, I read accounting. I got to the school. Next day during registration, I walked up to the dean of the college and I said, I'm not doing accounting. I want to do international relations. And then he told me, I'm going to give you four options. Number one option is, first option is psychology. No, the first option is carry your bag and go home. I said, that's not an option. I'm not taking that. I've waited 5 years. I'm not going home. Number two, he said psychology. And for me, limited knowledge oftentimes makes us to have skewed decisions. So he said psychology. I said psychology. Psychology started to me like working with mad people. So I said, no, I don't want to work with mad people in my life. I don't want psychology. And all of this happened in split second. Because I was starting right in front of him.
You had to make your decision.
Yes. Said psychology. I said, no, I'm not doing psychology. There's an industrial relations, sounding like factory. So all I was saying in my head was factory work. I don't want to do factory work. That's not what I want. So I struck it out. Then he then said human resource management. So human resource management, yeah, I mean, that's people now. I'm still people. I mean, I want to represent people. So if I'm doing human resource management, I was managing the people. I said, okay, I'll do that. And I went on to be admitted to study HR under those conditions. It was the first set, so the school also was looking for candidates at that time, not anymore now. And so they also were very lenient to see us through that process. And then I went to study my bachelor's in HR, master's HR, and doctorate in HR. So, but it came from that. And that setback of 5 years, I don't think it meant anything to me in retrospect. Again, Dr. Cobbs, wisdom, the power of wisdom, the weight of wisdom is known in retrospect. The weight of wisdom is validated in retrospection. You don't know the weight of what you have learned until you reflect. So I often tell the people that there is more insight in hindsight than in foresight.
Oh my.
There is more insight
In hindsight
than in foresight. If you're envisioning the future, there's nothing so much to learn from envisioning and there is to learn from hindsight. If I look back, and that's why it makes sense to connect the dots. The value of your journey, the strength of your journey, the victory in your journey, the lessons of your journey is best known when you reflect. When you project, you are preparing.
Sincere reflection.
When you project, you are preparing.
Yes.
But when you reflect, you are reinforcing.
When you project, you are prepared.
You are preparing
for something to come.
Yes.
When you reflect,
you are reinforcing. Because in reflection, you find what works and you hold on to it. You find what doesn't work and you discard it.
Learn from it.
So don't project if you have not reflected. Because you are going to be down with tools that you require for the future. In projection, ensure you come into projection with the resources from your reflection. Let's get ready for the future. Great. But let's know where we're coming from. What worked? This worked. What didn't work? Let's drop it. And then what is the demand of the future? Does the thing that worked before, would it be required in the future? If it will, then let's take it on. So there is the place of reflection. There is the place of projection. What reflection does is to reinforce the timeless principles, the timeless methods and approaches that produce results for you.
Wow. Thank you so much.